Okay, welcome back. I didn't mean to cut off there at that point, but we were just talking about the slope being 2. And then there was another part to that. It says, explain what the slope means in this context. And that's very important in these real life questions. What does that slope mean in context? So it means that for every, like the rise over run, if I wrote this as a fraction, it would be 2 over 1. So rise over run is the way we normally do it if it was coordinate geometry. But if you think of it in coordinate geometry, what does that mean? It means for every 1 that you go across, you go up 2. And in this case, since the weeks represent the across or the x values, and the money represents the y values, represents the how far up you go, what it means is that every 1 week that passes, your money goes up by €2. Every 1 week that passes, your money goes up by €2. That's what it means in this context. Okay? Question 5 then. Copy and complete this sentence. The amount of money saved in euro at any time is €10 plus 2 times the number of something that have passed. Well, I think from context we could guess that it's 2 times the number of weeks that have passed. But I think if we wait until we do the next part, we'll see this more clearly and we'll return to it again. So part 6 says, using symbols, express rather the relationship between the money saved and the number of weeks of saving. So the relationship between the money and the weeks. So sort of like if this were a regular sequence and not a real life type of sequence, we'd be saying the relationship between the term and the term number. In other words, what we'd be talking about is the nth term or the general term. We're talking about the formula for the relationship between these two. So what we can do for part 6 is we can use our formula for a linear sequence, and it is term n is equal to a plus n minus 1 times d. Now there's something we have to watch out for here though. We've always said in the past that a represents the first term, but when you've got normally we start with term 1, term 2, term 3, term 4, term 5. When you've got a term 0, as it were, a week 0 in this case, but term 0 essentially, well then a represents term 1 always, so it doesn't represent the first term in this question, because the first one might be this. It represents term 1, so whatever term 1 is, and in this case term 1 is 12. So you might say Tn is equal to 12 plus n minus 1 times d, the common difference. Well, we can see the common difference is 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 times 2. So if we were to tidy that up a bit, it would be 12 plus, multiply 2 by this, and it's 2n's are 2n. 2 minus 1's are minus 2. And then we can tidy it up even further. We get Tn is equal to 12 take 2 is 10 plus 2n. Okay, so that is essentially the formula for this line. However, when we're dealing with this real life situation, and when it says use symbols, and essentially all they're talking about is use letters really to express the relationship between the money saved and the number of weeks of saving, then we'd rather not have this n and term n. We'd rather have something that is more meaningful to the question we're talking about. So for instance, in this case, we're talking about money and weeks. So normally our n stands for the term number, doesn't it? But in this case, our term number really is the week number. So instead of an n there, perhaps we could put in a w. And instead of the term, and these are the terms here, aren't they? That's the term number, if you like, but these are the actual terms in the sequence. We could have like the money, we could have like M, or we could have A for the amount of money at the end of so many weeks. So we could say A is equal to 10 plus 2W. And that makes sense. And then if we just go back to part 5 here again, we can see that, copy and complete this sentence, the amount of money saved in euro, what we've called A, at any time is €10 plus 2 times the number of weeks that have passed. the amount of money saved at any time is 10 euros plus 2 times the number of weeks that have passed. So you can see that part 6 throws a bit of light then on part 5. Okay,